Welcome to Sports Charlotte, the podcast about sports in Charlotte. My name is Herb White. I am editor-in-chief at the Charlotte Post. And this man in all black is Cameron Williams. Well, that you will see. Staff reporter at the Charlotte Post, all-around good guy, and maybe even a little sleep deprived today.
Just a week.
It's March 14, 2025. We're coming off the ACC basketball tournament quarterfinals. It's semifinals night. The good news is you have but 2 games to cover. How you holding up?
After the last 2 days, I'm a little sleepy. But, like you said, there's only 2 games tonight. After we potty and get a little bit of work done, I'll probably go home and take a little nap. It'll be great. And then go back to the Spectrum Center where it feels like it's my office away from the office this week. But no, I mean, it's been fun. Just getting to see some different teams. Obviously, we cover mostly Charlotte teams, but now the ACC is here. We're seeing some teams that we don't always see all the time. So it's been quite fun. Both Duke and Carolina are still in it, so they obviously have the North Carolina state ties. Wake Forest got booted by Carolina, so only 2 North Carolina teams remain. Only one's going to remain after tonight.
And that game is at 7 p.m. Obviously, it's going to be high energy, considering that Duke and North Carolina are not necessarily the friendliest of accomplices. And it should be a good game. I guess the question remains the health status of Cooper Flagg, Duke's freshman phenom who sprained his ankle yesterday, and his status is a mystery as of our recording this podcast, 11:06 a.m.
Yeah, there was a story published this morning that a guy apparently has a close source to the Flagg family and blah, 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 and they don't think there's any chance he plays. Well, based on Coach John Shire's remarks yesterday, it doesn't seem likely that he's going to play. Duke has much bigger things that they hope to accomplish this year than just to win the ACC tournament. They know they can beat Carolina with Cooper Flagg. Carolina haven't been within 13 points of them this season when he's on the floor. So they're not really proving anything this game to win it. Sure, it'd be great to get their 23rd ACC championship, but they're wanting to rest him, make sure he's fully a go come next weekend whenever the big dance starts.
Yeah. Now, the other side of this equation is North Carolina. And coming into the conference tournament, we had the conversation about what the Tar Heels needed to do just to qualify for the NCAAs. They've gotten this far. Is beating Duke to advance to the final validation for the NCAA.
What did I say last week? I said if they get to the championship game, I think they're in. Yeah, beating Duke without Cooper Flagg, how's the committee going to look at that and be like, well, they didn't beat a strong team at their best. Who knows how they'll look at that. But they beat Wake Forest. There have been teams around that kind of last 4 in, first 4 out that have lost, and Carolina's been winning. So right now they're in ESPN bracketologist Joe Lenardi's last 4 in. I think a win against Duke would solidify them as one of those last 4 teams in, even if they do lose to Clemson or Louisville in the championship.
Now, I'll posit this. I would say that North Carolina has played well enough the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks, to have already clinched the spot.
I mean, that's a fair. I mean, that's fair to say. I think right now when you're looking at the total body of work, you can't just omit the bad losses they have. But if you're one that judges based on recency bias, you're right. They have played like a top 68 team in the country the last however many weeks, about 3 to 4 weeks. So there's that aspect of it too. But if you're talking total body of work, 22-12, 13-7 in a very weak ACC. So it's like, how do you judge that? Do you judge it on recency bias or do you judge it on total body of work?
That's the question that the committee is going to have to answer. But I think that most people would look at this as you want the teams that are playing their best ball in. And if that's the case right now, at least, North Carolina is playing its best ball. It still has the brand, and I don't think you're going to undersell that at this point, even if the ACC is watered down. And I think that if they can get past Duke tonight, with or without Cooper Flag, it's just a wrap as far as the committee is concerned. So we'll see how that all turns out.
Who wins? Right now, they've still got Carolina as a 6.5 point underdog.
That's sufficient.
I think that's, for those gambling and who like to make money, I would hammer that spread. It's even money right now on plus 6.5. You can't underestimate how much of an impact it's going to have losing a player that's really generational. I mean, you've got top NBA players that talk about this kid like he's the next big thing, averaging close to 20 points a game and close to 8 rebounds a game. He does it all. He's one of the best defensive players in the ACC. Was made all defensive first team, all ACC first team, and won Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year. So losing a player like that with one day to prepare for your arch rival again, it's not going to be easy. And so I like Carolina to win this outright.
Really?
I've said it all. I mean,
with or without?
Without. I mean, if he's healthy and he actually plays, man, 6.5 still might be a little generous, but Vegas likes to make their money on both sides. If he plays, I like Duke to win. If he doesn't, I mean, I think Carolina probably wins by 5 to 6.
I would look at it like this. This is what an opportunity looks like if you're some of these other guys that do, because Cooper Flag gets so much attention. Everybody else is kind of like bit players. And so now this is their opportunity to step up and do something. So I wouldn't even necessarily, I wouldn't look at it any differently whether he was there or not. So you got guys like Isaiah Evans, who had a really good game yesterday. It's an opportunity. When Flag went down, he did some things that maybe you hadn't seen in long stretches during the regular season. So I wouldn't sell Duke short. And that's why I say if North Carolina can find a way to take Duke down with or without Flag, that's validation.
Yeah,
because it's still Duke.
Yes and no. It's just you're losing a player who leads your team in every major statistical category. I mean, you can look right here: points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. He leads the team in everything. So a generational type player like that is just it's such a blow to a team. But you're right, and I mean my story about yesterday's game was about Evans and how he stepped up and poured in 14, really got the team going. Hit the first and second three for the team to kind of get them, because I mean they started a putrid 0 for 13 from deep, and I think it was like 4 for 20 something overall. It was bad. So yeah, he'll need to step up big. Conkinipple had 28, so he's a good second option. But Tyrese Proctor, it's time for him to play like he's an upperclassman. I mean, if Duke wants to have any chance of making a deep run in the NCAA tournament, even getting Flag back, you're going to have some of your guys that have been around the program long enough to step up. I think he's one of them, as well as Kaman Malawash. Dude's 7'2". Turn around and jam it on someone's noggin. I mean, he wants to be so soft in the paint and do these little hook shots. And I mean, he's a good rebounder. He's a good rim protector, but score the basketball, man.
Well, some dudes are just finesse players when it comes to offense. But at that size, yeah, you should be taking the highest of high percentage shots.
Tonight against Van Allen Lubin for Carolina, I mean, the dude's 6'9", 7'2", raise it up, jam it on his noggin. That's what I'm saying. I mean, be aggressive and be assertive. Because, I mean, you can't just be a 7'2" gentle giant. Not if you're wanting to win the grand prize of them all. You got to be more aggressive. It's been my complaint about him all year, but who knows? Maybe this is the time where he's actually going to step up and realize, hey, I got to do something.
Then they are playing North Carolina, so perhaps there's an emotional component to all of this as well.
True.
So even with all this basketball that's going on, and rightfully so, the ACC doesn't come to Charlotte that often, relatively speaking. There is something else going on this weekend. Charlotte FC is playing Cincinnati at Bank of America Stadium, and it is an opportunity for Charlotte to get right after losing last week. 1-0.
Man down squad.
Yeah, they lost to Miami, and that was painful.
Let's put it lightly.
Where they didn't necessarily generate a whole lot of offense or chances at scoring. But the other side of that is there was some good news, at least on an individual basis, for a couple of Charlotte players. Tim Ream and Patrick Ajamang were named to the U.S. national team for competition. And that's a plus. They were the only Major League Soccer team to put 2 players on the national squad. So congratulations to them. And the other huge news this week was the announcement of the teams that will compete in Charlotte for the FIFA Club World Cup, which is June 22nd and the 24th over at Bank of America Stadium. And it's a first-time tournament that FIFA is sponsoring, and it's going to have clubs from all over North America, with CONCACAF, as well as Europe. And the 2 games in Charlotte, Real Madrid and Pachuca from Mexico on the 22nd of June, and Benfica and Bayern Munich. So there's a couple of name brand teams that will be coming to Charlotte, some of the best known teams on the planet coming to Charlotte at that point to play in this first time tournament as a prelude to the World Cup, which is coming to North America next year. Should you be excited?
I'm grinning ear to ear.
Why is that?
Because we've got some excellent soccer coming to the States.
As opposed to Major League Soccer?
Don't set me up like that.
I'm just asking a question, that's all.
Oh, it's going to be great. Real Madrid, everyone knows they've got talent galore. Defense has been a little suspect this season, but offensively, Mbappe, Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham. I mean, this team has firepower. This team is, like I said, I'm grinning ear to ear. Bayern Munich. I mean, Harry Kane. I mean, they're deep, and Bayern Munich plays a very physical style of defense. That, I mean, kind of when we talk about it with basketball, it's like what kind of referees are you going to get? But I mean, if they let Bayern assert themselves on the defensive end, it's going to be tough to score on them. I'm excited. I mean, we got some really high level clubs coming to Charlotte. I mean, it'll be fun to see. I know you call me the resident soccer snob, but
you're not the first one I've run across.
But I mean, these are the best of the best. I mean, La Liga and Bundesliga, both these teams are, if I'm not mistaken, I think both are still in the Champions League. So I mean, they're both still competing for the grand prize of all of UEFA. So I mean, it's gonna be great to see them.
And just to point out, there will be a couple of MLS clubs involved. Inter Miami, obviously.
They can compete.
Yeah, and Seattle Sounders. So there will be a couple of MLS clubs in the mix. 12 sites across the United States, 32 teams, and Charlotte, for some reason, I guess it is really a football town when it comes to the round ball as well. And it's a real feather in the cap, I think, for what David Tepper and folks with the Panthers / Charlotte FC have been able to do to help grow the game in this market. And that was one of the things that Manolo Zubria, the chief tournament officer in the U.S. For this tournament, mentioned that the cooperation, the excitement is palpable in Charlotte for soccer. And it was a no-brainer to them, even though Charlotte isn't going to participate in the World Cup next year as a site. This is not a bad consolation prize.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, it turns out I actually was right about Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. Both are still competing and will be competing in the Champions League. So they're on to the quarterfinals now, I believe. So I mean that competition will be over before they come here. So, but who knows? I mean, what if? How big would that be to have one of these two teams win the Champions League and then come to Charlotte? I mean,
that would be huge.
That's huge. I mean, you're talking about, for as far as club soccer is concerned, the biggest championship and the biggest trophy you can win is the UEFA Champions League Cup. So that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I think that the other side of this is these clubs will actually, it's not like a friendly. It's not like an all-star game kind of thing where you're just kicking it around and it's an exhibition and everybody feels good and no one gets hurt and you go home. This is an actual competition where stuff will be on the line. And that, again, in terms of FIFA, it's new and it's intentional in terms of being able to put together something where teams will actually have to compete. So you won't get that we'll hold out our best players kind of thing in order to advance. And that on its face and by itself makes this worth seeing.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're like I've kind of already alluded to some of the players, but you're going to be seeing the Mbappes, the Harry Kanes, the Michael Olises for Bayern Munich, and you're going to be seeing a lot of these great players that are going to be. Those are the ones you want to see. And I think for Charlotte soccer fans in general, yeah, you can appreciate Charlotte FC because, I mean, MLS is what we have here. But this is an opportunity to see teams that you got to get a round-trip flight. You got to get a hotel room. You got to pay those crazy prices for these soccer games.
Tickets.
Soccer tickets overseas. And so, I mean, you're looking at so much money for these events. Now, I'm not sure what ticket price are going to be for this event, but it's not going to be as expensive as having to have, and I mean, a lot of these places you got to make sure your passport and everything, and so you got to get all these things involved to go see these teams play. They're coming to you. Enjoy this while you can.
Yeah. I'm a little bummed though, for one small thing, that no one from the EPL is going to be here. So
they're going to other sites.
Yeah, and if you're a real soccer snob, then chances are you would like to see an EPL squad.
I mean, I would, but I mean, let's be honest. Right now, there's one EPL team left in the Champions League, and that's Aston Villa. I mean, Man City, they messed the bed. They have had a putrid season, and as a Citizen fan myself, it's been a little bit of a rough ride. Losing games and just botching leads. I mean, 2-0 leads end up in 2-0 tie or 2-2 ties, and it's like, what are we doing? But anyway, yeah, Man City will be at one of the other sites. But I mean, I think it's when you're talking about watching teams at the top of their level right now, you got two of the best coming to town. Bayern Munich first in the Bundesliga league. Real, I think, second behind Barcelona in La Liga. So these are two great teams. But just what it does for the city as a whole, and bringing in revenue, bringing in
visitors,
and just putting eyes on the city. Mm-hmm. I think that's great for what this is going to do. And I mean, I know it'll be here soon enough, but I mean, I'm looking forward to it a lot.
And of course, we will be there to cover it. So
I wouldn't miss the chance to see some overseas soccer. Go ahead.
Overseas is in Europe soccer.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm the snob, right?
I think we've already established that part. But we will be there to cover it, just like we're there to cover the ACC. We'll be there to cover whatever else is happening around here. And that's why we encourage you to support our efforts and our work by going to our website, charlottepost.com, and becoming a donor or subscribing to our newsletter or becoming a subscriber to the publication. So there's all kinds of ways that you can help us out and help us deliver that sports journalism that encompasses all of Charlotte. So let me throw this out before we get out of here. What are you looking forward to?
Oh, man, I've been asking that question the last couple weeks. I'm looking forward to the rest of this ACC tournament. Even though the Charlotte 49ers got booted out of the AAC tournament yesterday, they put up a good fight. This is a situation where I don't want to get too long-winded because we've talked about this several times before, but until NIL money starts flowing through that program left and right at Charlotte, it's going to be very hard for them to be competitive. I was talking with a reporter yesterday that covers Virginia, and he said TJ Power, a transfer they got in last offseason from Duke, he's making $500,000, and the man averaged like 3 points in 5-6 minutes a game. Are you kidding me? It's like,
it's a great hustle.
I'm just like, so you're talking about $500,000 at a place like that for a guy who doesn't even play, and then Charlotte, whose NIL budget is
not in that league.
No, not even close. I mean, you couldn't hold on to Lakai Patterson, and he got $200,000 to go to Minnesota. So it's like you're fighting a gunfight with a Swiss Army knife. I mean, it's not even fair. If fair's a word that you want to use, but until, like I said, until a lot of money starts flowing through that program, it's going to be hard. I don't think it's a coaching issue. I know I'm probably in the silent majority when I say that I think Aaron Fern is a good coach, and I think he can actually lead a team of talented players, but you have to have the money in today's college athletics landscape to actually put together a competitive roster. So, I mean, he's in a rough spot. I mean, he'll never just come out and say it, but I mean, it kind of stings for him because it's like, well, I know if I had the players that I had last year, Igor Milicic, Lakai Patterson, and all these guys that if they would have stayed and we could have had the money to pay them what they were asking for, we saw what he did during last season. Yeah, it tapered off heavy towards the end, but they were top. They had a double bye in the AAC tournament. Finished third, in the conference. So you see what he's capable of as a coach, but you just don't have the players. And I don't want to say that as like it's a slight on these guys, but the truth hurts sometimes,
And sometimes it's just obvious. The best teams money can buy. It is a fact of life these days. No. Although sometimes you have to be wary of making an investment of $500,000 in a dude who's only scoring a couple of points a game. It's like, that was not money well spent. And you're going to learn those lessons directly in a way that Major League Sports on a professional level already know. You will make investments and they will turn out to be huge mistakes.
The ROI was not great with that one. But yeah, that's what I'm looking. Just seeing the rest of these conference tournaments play out over the next 2 to 3 days, and next week, baby, it's time to Monday through Wednesday. You know what it is? Filling out brackets all week long.
Yeah, can't get enough of that.
Might need to talk to our CEO and see if we can have a little bracket challenge in the office. Cause I'm sure Andre and maybe even get you to put an entry in.
Maybe. Who's to say?
I mean, hey, it's a crapshoot at the end of the day.
Always a crapshoot.
It's so funny to me that these people like, myself and other people that cover sports intently and they watch and they do the numbers and stuff, we'll have some of the crappiest brackets. And then you'll have these like random Joe Schmoes who doesn't even follow sports. You'll see the bracket. I was like 98%. It's like I missed 2 picks. I'm like,
yeah.
How does that happen?
Because they like the jersey.
Right. It's like
else.
Imagine picking UMBC or who was that? Farley Dickinson that beat
Farley Dickinson.
Yeah, a few years ago. Like imagine just these random people. It's like, why not? and then they end up being right.
Well, but there's also a certain type of science or leaning that you can always depend on when it comes to
I love the 12-5 upsets.
Yeah, 12-5s, 13-4s.
Occasionally, I like the 12-5s a lot more because they seem to match up so well each and every year. Because I mean, you look at just the last 4 to 5 tournaments, and I think in every single one of them, at least one 12 is beating a 5. Sometimes it's more. And then there was one year not too long ago, 3 12s advanced over to 5. So it's like, I don't know if they're seeding properly.
Well, but that just goes to show you the people who are seeding these tournaments, they don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this is great. And so, and I think that's why the NCAA tournament is so ingrained in Americana now. It's like people will find reasons to not go to work or pretend they're working when they're really not, and all the other things that go along with it in terms
Guilty
of
as
parties,
charged.
just to have a place at the table as it unfolds. And so, like that first week, or maybe to be more specific, that first weekend of the tournament is the best part of it. To get the Final Four, the first weekend is the best part.
Oh, believe me, I take the TV in my bedroom, put it in the living room, and I got it set up. And I call up the Buffalo Wild Wings, be like, hey, let's go ahead and get some wings ordered up, pick them up right at noon, get home 12:15. Those first games are starting. Oh, Thursday and Friday, man, there ain't nothing like those 2 days.
Yeah, it's a lot like Christmas. And in sports, there are certain red letter days that you circle. I mean, to me, opening day of football, no matter what level it is, that's Christmas. Now that the NFL is doing stuff for the holidays, besides Thanksgiving, that's sort of like Christmas too. And the NCAA tournament is part of that Christmassy kind of feel. You just can't wait for it to get started, and then once it's over with, once you get past that first weekend, it's like, okay, well, yeah, we're gonna settle in, but just to start it,
no,
it's great.
I've got three Christmas type feelings, and I know you don't agree with one of them, but obviously March Madness, that first weekend for sure, but just the whole tournament as a whole, opening day football, both the collegiate level and NFL, I kind of lump those together. But those first couple weekends, so both of those is really fun. And opening day for baseball. Oh, I love me some baseball. And it's right around the corner. Baseball fans, just you wait. We don't cover a lot of baseball here, but I'll be talking about it.
Yeah, okay. Well, but my third one would be, it used to be, and it's changed out a little bit now, Memorial Day weekend with racing.
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis, Charlotte, and Monte Carlo, even though that's being shifted. But that weekend,
yeah. Well, I mean, a close fourth, and I'll leave it at this, but Masters Week.
Hadn't really thought of that.
I love Masters Week. I mean, yeah, the U.S. Open's great. The PGA will obviously be at covering it this year, but the Open will, unless that's a bucket list item because I ain't going over there for nothing. But no, Masters Week's a very, very close fourth with MLB opening day for me. Might even be tied for third because, there's one opening day and it's like, okay, that's great, but you got Masters Week. You can watch the practice rounds if you have ESPN Plus, and you got the rest of the weekend. So yeah, it's great. No Tiger at Charlotte at Quail Hollow either.
No sightings in 2025. We'll just have to get over that and appreciate the contributions as they've happened over the years. And that's enough of that.
But that's depressing.
It's not like he was going to be in position to win anyway. It would be great for him to show, but that would be...
So you've been doing this long enough to where you covered Eldrick. Me, I'm thinking to myself, man, this is my first time I get to cover Tiger Woods. Man, I see it. It literally a minute, hadn't even posted a minute. Ruptured my Achilles. I'm like, crap. But anyway, I digress.
He didn't intentionally do it, I'm sure.
Nah, but anyway,
Yeah.
that's a wrap.
And that's a wrap for Sports Charlotte. Remember, go to thecharlottepost.com, become a donor, subscriber, or subscribe to the newsletter. I'm Herb.
I'm Cam.
Thanks for watching and listening.